Hello and welcome to day 76 in this quest for a 2000 rapid rating on chess.com. And as we wait for an opponent here, let's see what color we'll have, who we'll be playing against. I made it back up over 1600, so hopefully I can stay there. We'll see. All right, so e4, we'll go with e5 and see what they play here. All right. So knight to c6. So it looks like we have a Ruy Lopez. So here normally, okay. So we're trying something different. The exchange variation of the Ruy Lopez. I don't think I've come across this yet. All right. Well, let's see here. Do I try to pin this knight? All right. So I'm not as familiar with this. So I think I should just play this f6 move to protect this pawn. All right, so, he's probably going to push this next. So let's just play that, see what he does. Okay, so he prevents the pin there. Let's see. Now, do we want to bring this bishop out? That's what I'm thinking. Bring this bishop out here to c5 outside of this pawn chain, since this is going to be a bad bishop. Or do we... Well, I don't want to move this pawn again, so we probably should bring it up here. That way we could take, and we'll be aimed at his king, so we'll go ahead and do that. And then we can bring this other knight up and one thing I have to watch out for, though, is some kind of tactic here. If he takes this pawn, checks, captures, gonna have to watch out. So let's say he sacrifices his knight here. Then, if I capture, he brings this queen down, checking me. Then I have to move, and he can pick off this pawn, and then my bishop will be under attack. But I guess I could protect with my queen. The problem is then he could start marching his pawns forward. All right, and so that's probably why he's taken a long time to think about this. Okay, he sacrifices the knight. I go ahead and capture. He brings his queen down, checking me. Ooh, okay. He's deciding to go this way. All right. Well, what should we do here? Well, we could bring our bishop up, but then if he goes here, okay. I think we have to develop our queen. Develop our queen. But then I might have to give up my bishop pair here. This is looking tricky. Okay, hold on. If I move this, now he's thinking about bringing this up possibly. All right, I think we'll develop our knight instead. Then we could always block. All right, so we'll do that. We'll develop our knight. If he checks us, okay, he didn't. So now we can go ahead and castle. So we'll go ahead and do that. Then I have to develop this bishop up here. All right, what is this knight doing? Not much. I'm just developing. So, if he attacks my bishop, I can retreat back. We should develop this bishop here on this diagonal. So we might as well do that. Let's go ahead and just develop that. And okay, so he's probably going to try and come after my bishop here, but that's all right. Let's move our queen over here, and then maybe we can launch our knight up here. Or should we move here? All right, no, we'll move our queen here. Get ready to launch our knight up. Or I wonder if it would be good to just chase his knight back by pushing our g-pawn. I don't know. Okay, so he wants to do that. We'll just go ahead and retreat back this way. Okay, so his knight pushes forward. Should we push this pawn up? Maybe we push this pawn up. We could try and attack his knight. Do we push this pawn and get rid of our doubled pawn? So that's an option, but I don't know. He could ignore that. All right. If we go after that. Well, I don't know. If we push the c pawn, well, he could just take it, and then we end up here. All right, maybe we, I don't know if I want to centralize this rook because it's protecting this bishop. Let's see. Oh, he may try and develop his bishop on this diagonal, aiming at my king side. All right, well, we're wasting too much time. Let's go after that knight. Or would it have been a better move to bring my queen up here? Maybe that would have been a better move. Well, too late now. I guess I should have looked at that option. Maybe bring my queen up here and attack the knight. Okay, so he drops back. What should we do next? All right. Well, I don't know. I'm thinking about pushing this pawn up. If he ignores it, then what? I could take, he takes. Let's see. What can we do here? Do we push our knight up here? No, because he has two. He could capture, I capture, his bishop captures. All right. Well, all right, so now I'm just wasting time. Well, maybe we just go there. Threaten some kind of sacrifice. Is this even possible if we capture here? So capture. No, that wouldn't really do much. Okay. Okay, now what do we want to do? All right. Oh, man, I'm just burning up a lot of time here. A lot of time. Okay. All right. What should we try to do? Do we push forward here? Leave us with this isolated pawn. We have to do something over on this other side. So let's go ahead and just do that. Just gain some space. Well, man. Okay. If I capture, or if I ignore that and just push forward here. We'll just go ahead and do that. We'll just push forward. All right, so now I should play that. All right, and then capture, attacking his rook. What will he do? Okay, well, at least we have control of this open file for now anyway. What should we try next? He'll probably develop his bishop, I would imagine. Now, will he jump his knight over to here? We could just push the c pawn up, guarding our pawn and covering this d5 square so he doesn't land a knight in there in the future. He could just... Okay. So we have that maneuver. Do we just go ahead and capture there? That would kind of open this up for his rook. And pull this pawn towards the center, and he would have a strong pawn formation there. All right, what to do with this bishop? Do we just trade down? All right, well, should I just move my queen up? That is a possibility. Just improve the position of my queen. All right, we'll just go ahead and do that. I don't know. Maybe it would have been better to take that bishop. All right, now, anyway, at least we didn't pull his pawn to the center and give his rook a better position. But now we're going to have this attack. Okay, we'll go ahead and do that. All right, now we can go ahead, pin that knight to the rook. And then maybe we should go ahead. All right, well, that is interesting. That is an interesting maneuver. Okay. Well, all right. Well, what do we want to do with this? Our queen is under attack. We could just capture here. You know, do we want to do that? If we go ahead and capture, he captures, then what? This queen is threatening to jump down here maybe. Or just trade off here. Okay. We should just ignore that, I think. Ignore that. Oh, and go after this pawn that's unprotected with a check there. So we'll just go over there, check, then pick off this pawn, then threaten the knight that's right there. All right. That seems pretty decent. I have to watch out though for this knight jumping in here. And then where can it go? Here. And threaten a mate if the queen were to get down to here. So I definitely need to watch out for that. All right, at least this has them thinking. Their king is in check. What can they do? They don't want to move this knight or will pick off the rook. The king, they could move this pawn forward, possibly. Okay, this will leave a gap here. I don't know, we'll just take that pawn. Now we're threatening to just capture this knight here. All right, so what will they do? They have to either move this knight. They could, well, they can't move the knight or I'll pick off his rook and then I'm threatening a mate here. Well, no, he'll just, capture with his queen. Okay. So, do we go here and threaten a mate? We go and just threaten a mate. Or do we just put more pressure? No, because then the knight could jump up here. All right, yeah, that knight can jump up there. All right, so if we go and threaten a mate here, what are his options? Go here, attacking my knight and the queen at the same time and stopping that threat. All right. Oh man, kind of tricky here. All right. Well, what is the best move to play? Um, okay, running out of time here. If he goes, okay, if I go here threatening a mate and he drops his knight to f4, covering that, well, what do I do then? I go up here and attack his queen. If he captures, I capture. All right, what the heck? We'll just try and scare him a little bit, but you know, he does have this move here. If I go there, what can he do? He could try and drop back. All right. You know, or I could just, well, nope, I pretty much have to attack the queen. If he moves, all right, so that was expected. But that doesn't work. That doesn't work. It doesn't work. All right, we'll go there, see what we can do. Oh, that's a check. Oh my God. Okay, that was horrible. Horrible. That's what happens when you overlook a check. Overlooking a check. Oh my gosh. What garbage. What garbage. Garbage, garbage, garbage. So terrible. Man. So terrible. All right, well, at least I have some counterplay now. And I'll be able to pick off this knight, or sorry, this pawn with my knight. But he does have two knights here, which are dangerous. So I have to watch out here. All right, what the heck is he doing here? What do I have? I mean, what can I do to go after this guy? We'll do that. See what he does. All right, we'll just go there. All right. We'll attack him. We need to knock off one of these knights. So we'll go ahead and do that. Just put some pressure on that king. All right, now what? Go there. Okay. Well, I guess I could just attack him. Need to make sure that my rook stays safe. Okay. Well, let's just get far away here. All right. Well, we might as well attack that. Okay, so now what do? We go after the rook that's unprotected. Why don't we just go there? And I just have to watch out I don't run out of time as well. Okay. Now, oh, I could go after that and then pick that pawn off. So we'll go there and then we'll try and pick off that pawn. Oh, he can't. He'll just block. He'll just block. He'll just move and block. Okay, so that doesn't work. All right. So what now? What now? We just move our knight forward. That looks good. Move this knight forward and attack. All right, well, that lets us pick off this. I now have to watch for nasty knight forks. That is the problem. Watching out for nasty knight forks. All right, do I just pick off another one? Why not? Just pick off another one. Okay. Okay. Well, do I jump my knight forward? That's the question. All right, that's what we'll do. We'll jump that knight up there. Problem is he's going to jump down to the other side. Oh, okay, he doesn't do that. All right. Well, now we could almost just get rid of his knight now and trade it off for our... no, we don't want to do that, though. Okay. Just do that. Okay. What is best here? What is best? Don't run out of time. All right, we'll do that. All right, let's go after this guy. And we probably need to just start marching this pawn forward. All right, whatever. We'll just start marching the pawn up. All right. Okay, well, what do we do now? What do we do now? We go there. All right. Oh, gotta watch that. Definitely have to watch out I don't run out of time. This is so ridiculous. So ridiculous. I'm almost tempted to sacrifice my rook for one of these knights. And with only 20 seconds left on the clock, that's causing all kinds of issues. All right, well, at least they're taking a long time to think. So, what could they do? Um, Move up here and block my rook out. Okay, so they go that way. Let's go ahead and just march forward. Just keep marching this rook up. Or sorry, this pawn up. He's going to be able to come over and, I mean, he can just bring, well, he can't. My knight is blocking him out, so that's good. They resigned. I guess they figured they couldn't stop that pawn. All right. Oh, that was just a crazy game. All right. After that mistake I made. Okay, let's take a look at the game review. That was just a stressful game there. Oh man, I guess I played at 88.2% accuracy, which was higher than I thought. That versus their 80.9. So we both had one great move. For the bad moves, I had 3 inaccuracies versus their 2. Ooh, they had 7 mistakes versus 0 for me. But I had a miss, and we both had 1 blunder. So, it looks like I was actually winning pretty good here until I made that mistake where I went down a piece. Anyway, we'll take a look here. All right, let's do this review. So I'm gonna have to brush up on this exchange variation because this might be the first time I've played it since I started this new, or played against it versus this new, or in this new opening repertoire. Okay, so here it didn't like this move. I overlooked an opportunity to win a pawn. Okay. How could I win a pawn? All right, well, that's something we'll take a look at. Let's see what the best move was. Okay, yeah, I think I might have mentioned this in the game that I probably should have just attacked his knight. Oh, yes, because what does he do here? If he protects with this pawn, the g3, move the pawn to g3, I pick off this. If he retreats back, I can pick off this pawn, and if he captures, then I pick off his knight. So let's see if there's anything else. I don't know. I don't think he has anything. If he moves the knight forward, then I pick it off and then grab. Oh, yeah, so I overlooked that. That would have kept me ahead by 1.43. All right, let's see what we have next here. Okay, so black is ahead here. And then I go wrong with this blunder. What should I have done here? Just captured the knight? Okay. I did not really look at that move. Or did I? I don't know if... I'm not sure if I looked into that move. Okay, so if they move forward here, attacking. Okay, let's say if he moves this knight forward, attacking my queen, then what? Then I would just be able to back up here. So if he played knight at b to d4, we could look at the moves here, show the moves. Oh, they recommend that. Okay. Well, that was a different variation than what I expected. Okay, we'll take a look at that in the analysis as well. And so then what did they had a blunder here, which allowed me to fork their king and the rook, which is the only thing that kind of saved me in that game. Now black is winning. So then he makes a mistake here. So you have to watch out when you make a blunder or any bad move. You're going to be frustrated, but you better stop and take a moment because you're very likely to make another mistake and then cause more problems. So he was in check here. He could have moved, I don't know, up here, and then I wouldn't be able to check him and then take this pawn. So now what? He goes that way, and the game just kind of got crazy from here with all those knights maneuvering around. But, I don't know, a rook is strong. As long as I stay away from his knights and don't fall into any kind of fork. All right, so we started pushing forward, and at this point, yeah, it says that black is totally winning here. But in a game with 20 seconds on the clock, I was starting to get a little bit worried. And what could he do here to stop me? So we'll take a look at that in analysis because I'm curious to see how the game could have gone, played out further. Okay, it says you really outplayed your opponent in that one. You took advantage of the opportunities you saw in the opening. You were a cut above your opponent in the middle game, and your accurate endgame play outshined your opponent. So I played at 1950 versus their 1650. So that's a little bit better. Man, I did make that bad move, that blunder move, though, that kind of ruined the game. But, I mean, I was lucky to be able to come back. All right, so opening accuracy. They had 89.1. I had 98.6. Okay. Well, that was a little surprising because I was a little I'm familiar with the exchange variation of the Ruy-Lopez, but not in depth, where I never really see it. So I don't know. You just don't come across it as often. All right. So 68.3 in the middle game for them, 79.1 for me. And then 87.4 they played in the end game, but we played 93.7. So, all right, let's take a look at the analysis and see what we could have done to play better. So if you really want to improve your chess, you definitely should try and go over all your games. Now, because of time here, I'm just going right into a computer analysis, but if you play a game on your own, you should try and go through the game without the help of the computer first and just see what you can find and calculate in your head. That'll help you improve because you're doing some calculation, you're trying to figure things out, exercising your brain before you just rely on the computer that just spits out all the best moves. All right, so let's take a look here. E4, E5, knight to F3, knight to C6, bishop to B5, the Ruy Lopez opening. So we attack the bishop. Now, usually they'll retreat back. Okay, and then, that gives you time. Maybe you could attack them again with the pawn, but usually first black will develop a knight, and try and get ready to castle. So in this, they played the exchange variation. So here it looks like you have options. Capture with the B pawn towards the center or away from the center with the D pawn. Now what's the difference here? Well, if you're capturing towards the center, that's generally what you want to do when you capture with your pawns, is capture towards the center. But we see that's not as good because it leaves you with this isolated A pawn that could become a long-term weakness. And also, they'll probably have an exchange here with this E pawn. So if the E pawn's exchange, then you're going to be left with 1, 2, 3 pawn islands. But if you capture away from the center, it kind of keeps your pawns more consolidated and stronger where they can work together. You don't have an isolated pawn. You just have these doubled pawns that you have to worry about. And then you just have 2 pawn islands. So the less pawn islands that you have, the easier it is to protect your pawns, and harder for your opponent to attack them. And a lot of times, which my opponent didn't do this, so maybe he's not completely familiar with this opening. A lot of times they'll try and trade their D pawn for black's E pawn. And then that'll leave white with a pawn majority on the king side of 4 versus 3. And then over here, I'll have 4 versus 3, but the difference is that I have 2 doubled pawns. So it's harder for these 4 pawns with the 2 doubled pawns here on the C file to make headway versus 4 pawns that are side by side, because you can start pushing these pawns, push the unopposed pawn on the E file. But anyway, that's something to remember. But they played differently in this. So they just castled, which is still book move. And then it looks like F6 is the best move here to just go ahead and protect this pawn. So that's what I played, which is a book move. And now D4. So this is what I was talking about. The best move is D4 to try and, well, if you don't capture, then, see, the computer recommends if they play D4 that you capture. Because if you don't, they can threaten to capture, and then if you capture, their knight could possibly capture, something like that. Or if the knight doesn't capture, you're just left with an isolated pawn. So here, let's see, what did they play? H3. I guess they were worried about the possibility of me developing this bishop and pinning their knight to the queen. So after h3, and I was also wondering if they have a possibility of sacrificing their knight. So knight captures on e5, pawn captures, queen checks, and then what do you do then? I guess it wouldn't work because your queen could just block. And then you don't really have much of a follow-up. So knight sacrifices, pawn captures, queen captures with check. Oh, but then you do have to figure out what to do with your king here. It would leave your king open. So, I don't know. I mean, I guess we could take a quick look at this. What if they do that? Well, it's not terrible, but it's not great. So the best move is to go ahead and capture. I mean, black is ahead here, so it's not the greatest move. You do stop white from castling. So you have this move going after the pawn. And now the best moves are king to e7 or d7 here. So it looks like d7 is the recommended move. King to d7. Man, that looks, well, it prevents him from checking you, I guess. So the queen would go ahead and capture. Then, how do you continue here? Looks like just queen to e7. You bring your queen out to attack their queen, trying to trade off because you're ahead in material. And then what? Queen to f4 is best. But the king can move to d8. Well, now it doesn't like that. It's saying queen to f5 would be better, because if the queen plays this, the king can move to what? d8. Looks like that's best, preventing any more checks. Now the queen's under attack, and the queen should just retreat back here. But now, they have knight to f6 being best, and then rook to e1. Ooh, now they're saying knight. Anyway, before I dive too deep into that, it looks like black maintains the edge here, but your king's stuck in the center. Possibly you can move your bishop and run over to the queen side. But it's a little tricky. So if you avoid the checks by the queen, and you don't get in trouble, you should be all right, and black would stay ahead here. All right, back to the game. h3 was played instead. So here, oh man. So I was wondering about the c5 move to help control the center, and it actually says that's the best move. c5 or g5. That's an interesting move. g5 or knight to e7. Allowing you to block here. But what did I play? Bishop to c5, and it says that's still good, but now the game is even. I should have played c5 instead. All right, so we could take a look at that real quick. c5, then d3, fortifying the e pawn, allowing this bishop to develop. And now bishop to e6. And it's also saying knight to e7 to be able to block, I guess, the Because I'm worried about this knight sacrifice. I mean, we saw that it wasn't good earlier, but if we go back to the game, h3 was played. I develop here. Now what if they do this bishop sacrifice, which I think when I was playing the game, I mentioned it then. They went knight to h4, which was bad. They should have played queen to e2, d4, d3. They had a lot of moves. So what about this, moving here now? You capture, it's still a mistake. You go here, queen to h5. Oh, and then the king can just move over. Okay. You just move over. Queen captures. So this is the g-pawn's protected, so the queen can't get in there and harass your rook, possibly. But now we have queen to d6. Oh, and they actually like this move better, because then if the queen moves up here to attack your king, I mean, I guess... But then they could possibly pick this off. Maybe. All right, anyway. Okay, so it says it's all right to... you're not in trouble if they go ahead and capture there in the center and sacrifice their knight. So back to the game, h3. I developed my bishop. They play knight to h4, but it looks like, queen to e2 is best. Yeah, so queen to e2, protecting this pawn. Now, knight to e7 is the best response. And then c3, well, now they're saying we should retreat our bishop. But they can threaten this, threaten to start attacking in the center. Now, the recommendation is moving our bishop, moving our knight, or even bishop to e6. All right, anyway, in the game, after they played h3, we developed our bishop. They bring their knight in. So, a mistake here. How should we take advantage of that? Knight to e7, which is what we played in the game. So, knight to e7 is good. Now they're saying bishop to e6 would have been the best move. All right. But I thought if I played bishop to e6, he could jump down here. And then what? I would maybe have to go ahead and capture with my bishop. All right, before I get sidetracked here, knight to e7 was played. They played d3, fortifying this pawn, allowing their bishop to develop. So we castled, and that was an inaccuracy. So instead, bishop to d6 would have been better. Bishop to d6. All right, let's go back and look at that. If we go here, now why would this be a good move? Well, if he wants to push this pawn forward, then we could capture. And if his bishop captures, we could even ignore that bishop. We could go ahead and capture or ignore it. But because if he captured our bishop, well, then it would undouble our pawns, which would be helping us out a little bit. But I don't know. It's kind of tricky. We have to watch out for that queen jumping in here. If the rook is opened up a little bit, maybe I'm imagining things. So, in the game, we castled. So they responded with knight just developing, which is an excellent move. But it wants an immediate attack on our bishop here. Okay, so we develop, once again, it's saying we should centralize, drop our bishop back here to the center, and fortify this. Okay, so pawn forward, maybe getting ready to chase our bishop. So I bring my queen over. This is a good move, but once again, it wants this bishop retreat, the computer. So the bishop is under attack. The best thing. Oh, now it's saying this move is best. And, I didn't even think about that. Moving forward, attacking the unprotected knight, pinning it to the rook. Huh. All right, so I retreat back. I just wanted to keep an eye on this pawn. Oh, and earlier I said, if the bishop moves back here, then if he pushes this pawn, well, the pawn can't be pushed anyway right now because it's pinned by our bishop to the king. So the game continued with knight to e2. So knight to e2. This is a mistake. Knight to f3 would have been better. And then we should play queen to d7 or knight to g6 here. Or c5. So we have all kinds of different moves that are possible. Okay. So now, knight to e2 was played, and we miss an opportunity by playing knight to g6 here. Queen to h5 was better. And here, either capturing our knight or even moving forward here to f5 is what the computer likes best. So before we go on further, let's look at this queen to h5 move. So this would have put black in the lead. Queen to h5. The best option is knight to f5. Then we should just go ahead and capture. Interestingly, here it says it's better to capture with our bishop, our good bishop. Get rid of the bishop pair. So let's see if we do that, if the computer still likes it here. No, now it's saying it's better to keep your bishop pair. So the computer's a little undecided here. So if we go there, knight captures. Now it's saying that's best. They would recapture. Our bishop would recapture. Oh, wait a minute. They could fork us here. Now, would that be a bad move if they forked here? It says this is the best option, but what if they played that? Oh, okay, that just weakens their king side, and we can retreat back to g6, pinning this. So you don't want to capture here. Black would still be slightly ahead, but not as much. So here you would want to just retreat back, and then the king could move up here to h2, protecting the pawn, but renewing the threat on the bishop. Because this pawn was pinned to the king by the queen. So then you would just drop back here to e6. And, maybe you could try and go here, but they might attack you. But if they did that, they would have a backward pawn here that could be a weakness. All right. And I don't know, after all this, there's a weakened king side here. So, back to the game. Knight to e2 was played. We jumped our knight forward, missing our opportunity to go ahead here. Now white is slightly ahead. So, in the game, we had knight to f3, but it looks like it would have been better to move forward. Now, black is slightly ahead. So, queen to d7 is what I played, although now the computer wanted queen to e7, which I guess that would allow a rook to land on d8 and be lined up on the queen there. So I could see why that would be better. Here, I thought, well, maybe I can scare him a little bit. Or I was thinking, should I sacrifice the bishop? He captures, my queen captures. But I don't know if there's an actual good follow-up after that because, well, no, they could just move here, protecting, blocking my queen's attack on this knight and protecting it. So, yeah, that wouldn't be a good sacrifice, which we could look at that here. But first, king to h2, he just moves up, protecting that, preventing the bishop sacrifice. What did I say? A rook sacrifice earlier? I meant preventing a bishop sacrifice here. So now b5. So if b5 is played, it says I instead should have just moved my queen up here. To help protect this, I guess. All right, so now what do we have? a4 was played, but developing the bishop and attacking my bishop looks like that was better. So now we move here, but which would have just attacked this pawn. The computer instead wants our queen to go up there. So capture, capture. It's saying it would have been better to just capture this immediately. Anyway, they capture there, which is a mistake. Better would have been... Oh, yeah. Oh, they could have stayed in the lead with bishop to e3. Oh, that would have caused a problem. What do I do then? Oh, man. Yeah, here I have to play that move. And the recommendation now is to capture my bishop with the rook. Oh, that's interesting. So capture. And this says this would be a brilliant move, an exchange sacrifice. And now, oh, forking. Oh, man. And now the best thing to do is to target this pawn, let them capture here, capture with the knight, and then queen to d2. And once the smoke once everything settles and clears away, it looks like we have white in the lead by a pawn here. So what would we even do? I mean, if we try to pile up on this pawn, they could just move this other pawn forward and protect it. And so what should I have done here to avoid all that craziness? So once they captured here, the best thing to do is c takes b4. So to go ahead and capture, they could capture here. Oh, and then they have this passed pawn, which is pretty dangerous. And they're ahead in material. What do we do then? Queen to b5. So we go up here, adding a little bit of pressure, but this pawn is protected. Now it's saying we should have moved our rook over and centralized. So now c4. Well, now it doesn't like that. All right, well, before I just dig into all kinds of crazy sidelines, let's get back to what actually happened in the game. So they make a mistake here. We capture. They go ahead and capture, capture, bishop to e3, and here it would have been better to keep the bishop pair. So, yeah, I don't know what I was thinking here. I should have, this move was definitely best. Just drop back here. Bishop to d6. Now it's saying that's not best. Best is to just capture. Huh. Okay, well, we could take a look at that. But first, what happens here? If we do this, the king just moves back here. And then queen up to c6. All right. Okay. Well, I guess that would prevent them. Well, they wouldn't want to push this pawn here because you could capture, then be left with an isolated pawn. The bishop would recapture. Okay. So if we go back, take a look at the capturing instead. So if they play that, and go back. So instead of retreating, what if we capture here? Which I didn't want to do that because now they capture towards the center. They have doubled pawns, but this just helps these pawns in the center move, and it opens a half-open file for this rook. So I was hesitant to do that. Now it's saying C5 or B4. C5 would be good because it would keep the knight from being able to move forward. C4 kind of helps lock down the center a little bit. So I don't know, maybe we do that. Let's see what they say. Now they're saying immediate B4 is better. So we'll look at B4. And now they're saying rook to E1, not even leaving the rook on this open file here. D4 is another option. Or queen to D2, just immediately attacking this pawn. So anyway, a lot of options there. Back to the game. They attack our bishop, we defend. Well, now it's saying we should have moved our bishop all the way back to the edge here. Or to F8. Okay, capture, capture, and now D4 is played, attacking our queen. So we go ahead, capture, which is best. Well, actually now it's saying queen to F8 is best. So just retreat. I don't know. I don't really like that because they could just push forward and lock our bishop, drive our bishop back. So this is a mistake. So what should they have done instead? Knight at E takes is better. So this would have been better to capture that way, which makes sense because this knight is on a better spot than the one was on E2. So it would be better to move that less well-placed knight forward. So knight to D4. And then, it's attacking our bishop. And it looks like best is just to retreat back here to F7. Then rook to E1. Just fortify this pawn. Maybe get ready to push it forward at some point. All right, well, in the game, they push that knight forward, attacking our bishop. So what do we do here? We played bishop to C4, which I thought was a good move. But now they're saying that's an inaccuracy. That it would have been better to pin that knight to the queen. So let's take a look at that. Pin the knight to the queen. Wait a minute. Does that even work? Because, well, of course it works. The computer evaluated it. I was thinking, I might have looked at this in the game, but was thinking, oh, if they capture and I capture their queen, they can capture mine. But then I would pick off their rook. So let's see here. Looks like queen to A1 is the recommendation here. Backing up this knight. And now bishop to c4 should be played anyway. So bishop to c4 is the best move, pinning the knight to the rook. Then we would have what here? Oh man, king to g1 is the best possible move. And then it recommends capturing with the bishop. Knight captures. And then queen captures here. And then just moving this knight that's under attack to protect this pawn. You know, but at this point we would be ahead, and we have these two passed pawns here. But we have to watch out, because once this knight moves, there could be a threat of attacking our queen and then picking off this pawn here. You know, and then if the queen tries to get down here, we could have an attack on our 7th rank that could be dangerous. All right, back to the game. So what happened after the knight attacks my bishop? I moved up to c4 immediately. You know, the computer doesn't care about crazy, wild games. It wanted me to just go here. But, you know, I thought this might be a little bit safer doing this immediately. Now we have knight to b3, attacking our queen. And that is a mistake. Knight to f5 would have been better. So, let's look at that. Knight to f5. Jumping down to our side of the board over here on our king side. And with that move, it looks like rook to e8. Huh. Rook to e8. Okay, well, it says rook to e8 is best. I would be worried about the queen maybe coming down here and attacking now, which that's what it shows. Queen to d7 is best. And then queen to, yeah, see, now the computer, I think, is not liking that so much. So, because if we go here now, it's saying c6 would be better to avoid. But now that knight can jump down here and harass our bishop. But it's saying c6 is the best move here. c6. It still likes queen to d7. Oh, because it threatens a mate. No wonder it likes that move. Yeah, okay, we could take a look at this for instructional purposes. Queen to d7. Now it's saying that's an inaccuracy, that king to g1 would have been better. Why? Because rook to a7, attacking the queen. Queen to e8. And now queen to f8. You know, okay, well, we can't do that. I was thinking there was a check up here, you know, but our king is in check ourselves. So, the only thing about this now, you know, why wouldn't they just capture this pawn right here? But the computer says it's best not to do that, to trade off queens. I mean, why wouldn't they just capture here? Capture. queen takes c6, that allows, oh, the bishop is under attack, so you don't have time to do, or sorry, the bishop is attacking the knight here. You don't have time to do all that. So you would have to capture. Then looks like capturing with the knight is best. That's interesting. And then rook to e1 to protect this. Okay, let's get back to the game. I'll go back a few moves since I've been jumping all around. Hopefully you're still following here. There was just a lot going on in this game. So capture, knight moves forward. That was a mistake to move that knight. The other knight should have captured. Then, you know, if you have an option of which knight to move, usually it's good to move the knight that is less well placed. So this knight back here is not as strong as this f3 knight, so it'd be better to move that one forward. So, but you know, the opponent makes a mistake there. We don't fully capitalize on it. Looks like we should have pinned that knight to the queen. They make another mistake here. Looks like moving the knight forward would have been better instead of retreating backwards and attacking our queen. Here, queen to e5 is best, which looks like we found that. Now the computer's saying to retreat back here would be better. But I thought, well, I can go after a pawn. King to g1 would have been a better move. Because this just creates a weakness. So let's take a look at that. King to g1. And now we should just pick off the pawn. And then it looks like knight to g3 attacking. Our queen is best. And then queen to d5. Just try and trade queens off. But we're also threatening to... I guess we can't really. If we take this knight, the queen will be guarding the pawn. You know, but if we take the knight, they capture. Then we go after the queen. I don't know. That wouldn't be worth it. So here it looks like their best move is to just capture our queen. So queen captures, of course we capture, and then knight moving forward to f5. Knight to f5. Now it's saying developing the rook would have been better. So here we should play, knight up to f4. Knight up to f... Wait a minute. Does that really work? Hold on a minute. Because that allows a fork. Okay, let's take a look at this. How... Okay, the knight will be protecting that. Okay, so the best thing for them is to do this. The king attacks. Then you go ahead and capture, capture, and now rook to d1. What next here? Knight back up to f4. Then the king just moves towards the center. Okay, in the game, we had a knight to b3 move. Then I played queen to e5 check. They played g3, weakening their king side. So I pick off the pawn, which is the best move. But now they play rook to e1, another mistake. Better would have been what? Knight to c3, attacking the queen immediately, like this. So attacking the queen. They attack the queen. What if your bishop is attacking their rook here. What if you moved here and attacked the unprotected knight as well? All right. What is that? Queen to e5. Why would queen to e5 not be a good move? Queen to e5. Oh, now it's saying that's the best move. Yeah, so that's weird how the computer, it'll show one thing, and then once you make some moves, I don't know, maybe it calculates a little bit deeper, and then it's like, uh-oh, well, this is better now. Queen to f3 here. What? Now they're saying queen to f3. Oh, it attacks your rook. Oh, wow. Okay, well, that's a good move. Attacking your rook, threatening a check as well. And then, where is best? Okay, anyway, that's what I wanted to look at. So, rook to e1 is what was played in the game. That is a mistake. So, and then we blunder here. So, right now we're winning. We're pretty much winning. And we blunder. So what? I still had 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes on the clock. All right. So I played bishop to d5, a big old blunder here, and now it switched from black winning to white winning here. Oh man. Okay, because they had this move, and man, at this point, it looks like I only had 2 minutes left, so I guess the time pressure was starting to get to me once again. I thought, okay, they could move here, but then I could go ahead and take, but I should have known that it was a discovered attack here. All right. That could have been a disaster. I think they were trying to run me out of time and making quick moves as well. And then they got in trouble. So what should I have played here? Queen to f3 would have been the best move. So instead, move my queen up here. Then I could threaten to go here, threatening a mate, which they could cover, of course, but... well, then we'd be able to pick this off, this knight. So let's take a look at what should have happened here. Their best option is queen to d4. So that is the best that they have here. Huh. And then here it says we should go ahead and just capture on b3. Some tricky tactics here. If we played bishop to d5, they have rook to g1. Then, what do we do? Bring another knight up? Oh my man. Yeah, too many crazy tactics going on. So let's take a look at some of this. So right now it's saying capture this. It says that is best. Then once they capture, now we have rook up to a2. Rook up to a2. Says this would have been a great move. Now h4, making a little escape room. Oh, and giving up the knight. So then we would just be ahead in material there. So if they don't move that, instead of h4, what if they move their knight and attack? Oh, then oh, that would be dangerous. So it looks like they almost have to protect. Queen to e3. Says queen to e3 would work. And then the second best move is to capture that queen. An even better move is that. Oh man, just brings that knight up. So now if the queen captured your queen, you recapture with a fork and pick off the rook. So now king to g1. Queen captures, pawn captures, and then you have a fork anyway. But at least now they can recover the knight that you're about to capture. But you would just be winning here. King captures, and black is just winning. They have a pawn majority over here, a rook versus a knight. So as long as you don't fall into any nasty forks. And then, I don't know, maybe you could even just give up the knight, or sorry, the rook for the knight. Just capture the knight now, king captures, then you move forward here, and you have this extra pawn, this pawn 2-to-1 pawn majority. That might be winning as well, like a simplified way to win. So rook to b2 is recommended here. Just go after the pawn. They're probably going to move up here and protect. Yeah, so protect, and they're going after this pawn. So now you should play b4. But the problem is you're going to kick this knight away with c5. So king over to d1, and then these pawns could fall as well. So now you have this, but king to c1, and then it looks like, what, rook to g2. Rook to g2 is knight to e6. Oh, to go after this pawn. All right, so then we just start, this rook just starts annihilating everything. Here, king to d2, but then you can pick this off. The knight can pick this one off, and then get ready to go after this, so that could be dangerous, but you can protect. But then you just start marching your pawns up here and promote. Okay, let's look at my blunder. I'm sorry I'm dragging this out into a crazy long analysis, so if you're hanging in there, I thank you. Okay, what do we have? Bishop to d5 was a mistake. Because of this great move, a discovered attack on the queen, the best thing to do is play queen to f3, which I guess I was lucky and found that move. And now that doesn't work because capture here. The best thing to do is to go ahead and trade queens. So I guess at least I saw that. Capture. And now knight to e5 is best. Which, now it's saying I should have just played c6 and attacked that knight. But I thought if he captured, now I can go rook to c8 and then just pick off that pawn up there. So he makes a blunder, but I have to see why this is a blunder. His best move is back to knight to d5, and white would have been still ahead, probably enough to win. So let's see what he should have done. Knight to d5. Even king to g2 would have kept the game even. But knight to d5 is best. And then rook captures. King to g2. Oh, wait. There was a better move. The fork. Let's go back there. Instead of that, rook takes c2. Yeah, we should have forked. Delete that move. Okay, yeah, so, we should have done that immediately. Check. Then the king should go to h1, because now if we pick this off, which is best, white is still ahead with that move. Oh, man. Yeah, and then king to f8. Capture. We would go ahead and capture there. At least we have a passed pawn, but with two knights versus one, yeah, that would have been the end of the game there. Maybe if... Well, I don't know. If I could find a way to get rid of these pawns, even if I have to start marching up, sacrifice my knight, if I can get rid of everything, and then, all of his pawns, two knights cannot checkmate a lone king. There has to be other material on the board to make it possible. So, I don't know if I could start marching this pawn up maybe and keep his knights occupied over here. Then, I don't know, maybe march these pawns, try and trade off these pawns. Anyway, in the game, we have a blunder here. So now I'm able to fork, and he follows up with another kind of a little mistake here that allows me to capture with check and then pick this other pawn off. And now he attacks, which is not the best move. Rook to b8 is what I should do here. Okay, now it's saying rook to d8, but either way I'm attacking. I decided to go try to move further away from my king and from his king, because you have to watch out with the knights, especially in endgames where not much is going on, and if you become complacent, you could have a knight, like a nasty knight fork that you have to watch out for. So I tried to separate my king and the rook. So he moves in here. Now, rook to b1, but what is better? Looks like knight to d4 is a good move, which kind of keeps his king from being able to come into the center of the board. But we play this move. It's still, the computer says it's excellent, but rook to b6 was probably a better move. Okay, so that allows his king into the center. And now rook to b6 would be best. But we check. And I thought, well, I can move my king up, or my knight up here maybe. So, but, he could kick it away. And then I could drop down here and attack this one. So he moves up that way. Looks like it would have been better to go here. So anyway, we attack. That's best. King to e3 is best. Now, rook to b1. Looks like that is best to get ready to get in behind, maybe check or go after these pawns. Now, why did I move there? Probably the time factor played a part, but that keeps the knights from moving. Well, this knight from moving here. Oh, and maybe I wanted to jump up here, but that would have been a bad move. If I moved the knight here, he could go there and attack both of us. Or, let's see. Anyway. Yeah, it says it would have been better to move down here. Okay, so he attacks me. I attack his knight. He wants to avoid trading material because he is behind in material. If you're behind in material, I've mentioned this before, you want to avoid trading pieces, but he should be trying to trade off the rest of these pawns. So I move as far away as I can. The computer likes that move to avoid any surprises by his knight or his king chasing me. Okay, so he goes there. I attack. It says it's better to go into the corner. That's pretty interesting. I don't know about that. I don't think I like moving into the corner there. Knight retreats. We check. Says it would have been better for the king to move forward. Okay, we attack this knight now, and he just blocks my threat to this pawn. So now we just jump our other knight up, and he attacks us, which is an inaccuracy. Better would have been king to d2. King to d2. But that would allow an attack here. That would allow knight to e4, check. Then after capture, knight to c3. Says knight to c3 is best, but I almost like knight to e3, blocking and preventing an attack here. But this does the same thing. But then if you play knight to c3, you have this check. And that could be dangerous. So I guess I could show that to you. If you go here, now it's saying that's an inaccuracy, that it would have been better to play knight to e3 because you have this check. And if you go here to protect your knight, you have to watch out. If the pawn moves, I guess that doesn't really work. So the king should just be involved then. So if we go back, look at this move instead, that stops this pawn from being able to go anywhere. And now we have the king start marching up to help. All right, back to the game. We had knight to b1 attacking, but this is an inaccuracy because it allows me to capture over here. Well, now knight to d2 is best. And he plays it. All right, that allows us to capture the other pawn, which we do. And now knight to f3 is best. Knight to e4 says is excellent, but rook to h1 would have been better. All right, so now it likes this knight moving forward here. Knight to c3 check would have been a better move, it looks like. I guess that harasses the king more. All right, let's try and finish this up. So, knight to g1, attacking. Better would have been what? Knight to e6 instead, which is what I thought he was going to do. I thought that when he had a knight here that he wanted to jump in here to e6 or here, put pressure on this, and that I was going to have to, okay, now I remember why I left my knight here. If he jumped here, I could just capture. So, It would have been better to go here for him, though, to e5 probably. So in the game, now it's saying knight to e6 check would have been better. Okay, now we have what? Knight to c3. Knight to c3 check is what the computer wants. But we played knight to h2. And even better would have been to move over here and attack his knight and keep his king, trapped up here. But this move lets his king get into the game. So we attack his knight, he moves, and I just start pushing the pawns. Looks like king to g8 would have been better. Now he harasses us a little bit. And we just start pushing that pawn. So black is winning after this pawn is running up the board. Okay, what is best here? Now here I thought about pinning this, capturing the knight at some point and trying to use my extra pawns, but good thing I didn't do that. Better would have been an immediate h3. So here I was worried about his knight jumping over, but I guess it can't because of my knight. All right, so here knight to f3. Oh, it says that's the, wait, that's not it. This move, knight to f3, says that is best. And then here, rook to b1. Rook to b1. I mean, why wouldn't you go all the way to a1? I think I'd go all the way to a1 so I wouldn't have to worry about knights attacking me. Yeah, now they're saying that's better. Okay, so king to d4. Try to move forward. But I don't know. This is tricky here because this pawn has to be stopped. Okay, well, before I drag it out further, let's go back and see what happened. I played this. They attack. I have to go back and protect now. They jump their other knight forward, so they're protecting each other. But now we played h3, and so they resigned here. So let's see how the game could have continued. Let's take a look. So king to d3 is what they're recommending, but man, king to d3. Now rook to d1 or f1, h2. I mean, should you just keep marching like that? Oh, it says no. It would have been better to immediately attack the king. Now you should give up this knight for the rook. So let's look at this other move. What did they say? To go here. It says that is best now. All right. But what if the king tried to go after that? Best move is king to e3. Then rook to e1. All right, first I will look at this move. Well, now we have, a capture. And if you capture back, well, then you have h2, and there's no way to stop that pawn. All right, so back to the beginning. If we have that, we saw that that didn't work. So best is king to e3. Then looks like rook back over to h1. We probably just need to move this forward. the pawn. Now king up to e2, h2, it gives e3 is best, but now you have rook to e1 check, knight captures, and then the pawn moves forward. And then knight at f to d3. Or sorry, knight at d to f3, like that. Hold on, that was knight at e to f3. I just got that all mixed up. Okay, delete that move. This is what they want. So something like that. Now it's saying we should have gone the other way. But you have a queen now, so you get the picture. The queen would just annihilate these pieces. If they played that, queen to h3, pinning this knight, knight to d3, g5, trying to open things up here on the king, get rid of some of the protection with this pawn being here. Oh man, yeah, it would be bad after this. It looks like king to e2 is the best move, but then you have this. Now king back up to e3, g takes f4 check. Now what? King takes f4, queen to g3, king to e3, and you get the idea. You just keep working on that king till you deliver a checkmate in there. All right, well, if you have any comments, leave them with suggestions or requests. Feel free to leave whatever you want. Thank you for watching the entire video, and have a super chess day.